Critical race theory ignores that racism goes both ways. White people can be victims of racism too. Can you give me an example? Well, I've heard black people on TikTok joke about how we don't season our food. Guess that one really comes down to whether you consider ketchup a seasoning. What? Never mind. Do you know the difference between racial prejudice and racism? They're the same thing. They're similar, but there's an important difference between them. Racial prejudice is just prejudging people based upon their race. Like assuming I don't season my food when you don't even know me, or a white person on TikTok telling a black person that they should still be enslaved. Yeah, I guess that's bad too. Racial prejudice by itself isn't racism. For something to be racist, you have to actually have the power to act on your prejudice. I'm not seeing the difference. Well, think of it this way. Imagine you have a coworker who just doesn't like you, always telling you that you're doing things wrong and that you should do things their way instead. How would that affect you? I mean, it would be annoying, but I could just ignore them. That seems reasonable. But what if they get promoted to be your boss and they keep telling you you're doing everything wrong? Different story. Now this person who doesn't like you for no reason suddenly has the power to cut your hours or fire you if they want. Can't really ignore them anymore. That's how racism works too. Everybody has some racial prejudice, but it's generally only white people that have the power to act on it. But it's an analogy. How does that apply to the real world? Well, let's think about a real world example. Do you remember the Central Park birdwatching incident? Yeah, like a white woman called the cops on a black man because she didn't want to put her dog on a leash. Not just that, she called 911 and said an African American man was threatening her. Please send the cops. Yeah, and he videotaped it and it turns out he wasn't threatening her. Given the disproportionate number of black men killed by police every year, can you see how her actions put him in real physical danger? Yeah, but how is that racism and not just racial prejudice? Well, if roles were reversed and the black gentleman called 911 saying a white woman was threatening him, do you think she'd be in any real danger? Statistically, I'd have to say no. That's the difference between racism and racial prejudice. Racism has real life consequences for its targets, whereas racial prejudice you can kind of just ignore. Yeah, but it still hurts. Racial prejudice hurts everybody. But in America today, there's really only one group of people that has the power to act on it. It's white people, huh? And that's why, as of today in America, racism against white people, not a thing.